Now, today we will study the offer curves and net demand curves. What are offer curves and what are net demand curves? For this, we have to consider a situation, of course, where the behavior of the consumer will be studied. So therefore, we will consider the case of a consumer who has preference satisfying assumption of consumer preferences. What happens over here is that we take the example of a consumer. Okay, what is the behavior of that consumer is such that he has a preference satisfying assumption of consumer preferences. What does this mean? This means that the consumer is endowed with fixed amounts of commodities. Okay, the commodities that are endowed upon him are fixed in number, which she can consume or sell in the market to finance the purchase of other commodities. So what kind of endowments she had? She has fixed amounts of commodities. The commodities that are available to her, that are present with her, are fixed. That is, they are not variable. How can she use these commodities? She can consume them or sell them in the market in order to finance her purchases of other commodities. So therefore, okay, let me write it over here. The endowments of this consumer, the behavior of a woman is studied over here. Her endowments are all fixed. Her endowments are not variable. Either she will consume her endowments or she will sell these endowments in the market in order to gain income so that she can finance her purchases. Now he's not endowed with money income. What happens over here is that this consumer, he is not endowed with money income. Rather, he is endowed with fixed commodities only. So therefore, the endowments of the consumer are fixed number of commodities and no income level. Okay. Now, what next do we have over here is that he is not endowed with money income. Now, feasible set is defined by the non-negativity requirements on consumption and by the constraint that the market value of bundles consumed cannot exceed the consumer's initial endowments. For this, I think I should draw a diagram first and then I'll repeat the statement again. When we draw this curve, okay, let it be the budget line. Okay. Now on vertical axis, we will take x2 and on horizontal axis, we will take x1. Clear? Now, feasible set. This whole is feasible set. Any point within this curve, that is B curve, is feasible set. Feasible set is defined by non-negativity requirements. That is, x1 cannot be less than 0, x2 cannot be less than 0 on consumption, and by the constraint, okay? This is the constraint, this budget line, and that the market value of bundles consumed cannot exceed the consumer's initial endowments. So therefore, if we write the budget constraint, that is BCS, budget constraint is now, okay, now let me write it over here, a little below than this one. We have summation PIXI, price of the I number of goods and the consumption of the I number of goods. Now this should be less than or equal to summation PIXI bar. Okay, summation PI, that is again the sum of the prices of x unit of goods, and xi is the x number of goods. Okay. Oh, sorry, that I is the I number of goods. This whole should now be equal to capital W. Okay, we all know that the value of I is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 till any number that can be countable. We are not concerned with infinite goods or commodities over here. So X bar, what is X bar? X bar is the, okay, I have forgotten this bar over here. Let me repeat it over here. Budget constraint is summation PIXI, the price of I number of goods into I number of commodities, it should be less than or equal to summation pi xi bar. Okay, what is pi? Price of the I number of goods. And what is xi? This is the initial endowments that the consumer has. This whole should be equal to w. So therefore, what is this x bar? This x bar is the initial endowment, which is denoted over here with IE. X bar is the initial endowment of good I. So therefore, we will insert the small I also over here. Then we have summation PIXI bar is equal to W. This one, summation PIXI bar is equal to W. Now, this is the market value of initial endowments. What is this? This is the market value of initial endowments. Clear? Okay. So when you are asked about the market value of initial endowments, then you should know that it is equal to summation PIXI bar is equal to W. For the finances that are obtained if the consumer sold all her initial endowments at ruling market price. Clear? What is this? This is the finances that are obtained if the consumer sold all her initial endowments at the ruling market price. So therefore, we will move back towards this diagram. And what happens over here is that let this be point X bar. Okay. Now, what is this? This is X bar. Clear? Now, this is X2 bar. These are the initial endowments. The consumer has X2 bar units of good X2, okay, and X1 bar units of good X1 as her initial endowments. Now, if Xi differs from her endowment Xi bar, suppose this Xi, okay, it differs from this Xi bar differs from the Xi, then what will happen is that then we will have two conditions or two situations. The first situation over here is, okay, if Xi hat is equal to, the first one will be if Xi hat, okay, is equal to Xi, okay, minus Xi bar, and then it should be greater than 0. If both Xi and Xi bar are different from each other, then there can be two cases, okay. The first one is Xi minus Xi bar is greater than 0. What does this mean? It means that the consumer buys Xi hat of the commodity I. Then the consumer will buy Xi hat of the commodity I. In this case, the consumer or she will buy Xi hat commodity. Okay. What next do we have over here is the second condition is if Xi hat is such that it is equal to Xi minus Xi bar, okay, Xi minus Xi bar, and it is less than 0. Then what will the consumer do? She will sell Xi hat of the commodity. That is, she will sell Xi hat of the commodity. Okay. Therefore, what is Xi hat over here? Now we don't know what is this Xi hat. Either she's buying it or she's selling it. Buying in the case where Xi minus Xi bar is some positive number, and selling it when Xi difference between Xi and Xi bar is some negative number. Now this Xi hat, this is the net demand for commodity. This is the main thing that we are studying over here. This Xi hat is the NET, net demand. Why is it net demand? Because we are finding the difference between the demand of the two goods. Okay, one is Xi, bundle of two goods, Xi and Xi bar. We can rewrite the budget constraint now in this form as well. Now our budget constraint will be summation pi, okay, xi hat. Now we have summation pi xi hat is equal to summation, okay, pi, and then we will have over here bracket xi minus xi bar, xi minus, okay, xi bar. Now this should be less than or equal to 0. The sum of her expenditures on the quantities of goods she buys cannot exceed the sum of proceeds from the quantities of goods she will sell. Okay. Now what is this saying? Let me interpret this again. Now the interpretation of this particular this particular equation is the sum of her expenditures on the quantities of goods she buys. Okay. When do we have the quantities of goods? The sum of the expenditures on the quantities of goods that she buys, it should not exceed the sum of proceeds from the quantities of goods she sells. That is, both should be equal to each other. Therefore, in the true goods case shown in figure that we have drawn earlier, which was over here, okay? This is now the true goods case. Over here, what happens is that we have another point that we have to mark over here. That is, here we have another isopoint curve, okay? Now over here, the equilibrium point is the X star. That is the equilibrium bundle of forces X star. Right? Now this isopoint curve is H, and the goods consumed for X, the good 1 consumed is X1 star, and the good 2 consumed is X2 star. Okay. Okay. Now let us look at this figure, and we will draw our equation. We will rewrite our equation again. So therefore, our new equation will be, now we have two goods case. So therefore, our new equation is P1 X1. We know that whenever we write the budget equation, we write P1 X1 plus P2 X2. Okay. And now it should be equal to P1 X1 bar plus P2 X2 bar. Now the bar values are the endowments. P2 X2 bars, and this whole should be equal to W. That is, what is W? The market value of initial endowments will be shown by. Now what next can we do over here is that we have two P1s and we have two P2s. Okay, we can rearrange this equation and we can write it as, let's write the complete equation on the left hand side. P1 X1 plus P2 X2. Okay, minus P1 X1. Okay, and minus P2, P1 X1 bar minus P2 X2 bar. Okay, what we can do next over here is that we can simply, okay, by bringing the whole value to the left hand side of the equation, it will become equal to 0. This is like, you can also say now we have put W equal to 0. Now what we can do over here is that it is simple mathematical calculation over here. That is, we will have now P1 X1, okay, minus P1 X1 bar plus P2 X2, that's fine, okay, minus P2 X2 bar now this whole should be equal to 0. Now what happens over here is that simply we will take the value of P1 common. In the bracket we will get X1 minus X1 bar, okay. Then we will take plus P2 common, and in the bracket we will get x2 minus x2 bar. We are taking the difference of the endowments and the goods that are purchased or sold, okay? x2 bar is equal to 0, okay. Therefore, let this be some equation. Let this be equation number A, okay? Number A. Now, budget line has a slope of, we know that the slope of the budget line is minus P1. Okay, let me write it over here. Slope of budget line, because it is a negatively sloped curve, therefore slope of budget line is equal to minus P1 over P2. P1 divided by P2, okay? Now budget line must pass through X bar. Now the budget line must pass through this point, that is X bar, okay? It is very important over here. Budget line must pass through X bar. So therefore, the slope of the budget line is minus P1 upon P2, and it must pass through X bar, and X bar, the bundle of goods is X1 bar and X2 bar. That is the good one that is consumed is X1 bar, and the good 2 that is consumed is X2 bar. Now the endowed bundle, this is the endowed bundle. Okay. So now budget line must pass through X bar is equal to X1 bar, X2 bar. Since whatever prices she faces, the consumer will always have the possibility of consuming her endowment. Suppose the price of good X1 increases or it decreases, or the price of good X2 increases or decreases, whatever the prices of the good 1 or good 2 are, she always have the possibility of consume either good 1 or good 2, and that is X1 bar and X2 bar. Where feasible set is similar in shape to the consumer case, similar in shape to the case of the consumer endowed with fixed money income. But there are important differences as regards the effect of change in prices. Now, what we are going to study next is we are concerned with the feasible set over here. We know that the feasible set, as we draw, as we have drawn it earlier, this is the feasible set, okay? This region is called the feasible set. Now, feasible set is similar in shape to the case of consumer endowed with fixed money income M. That fixed money income will be shown through the budget line. But there are important differences as regards the effect of change in prices. Whenever there is a change in prices, what happens is that this feasible region will change. Why? Because the market value of endowment, that is W, is equal to summation PI, okay, XI bar. It should be equal to, W is equal to summation PI XI bar. This whole will increase. Why will it increase? Or it will decrease because the price of the commodity either increases or decreases. As a result of change in the prices, what happens is that this whole equation, W is equal to P summation PI XI bar, it will either increase or decrease. Why? Because the price of the commodity increases or decreases. Next, number 2, as consumer is always able to consume her initial endowments, that is X bar values, a change in single price will cause budget line to rotate through X bar. Okay, suppose this is the point of X bar, okay, because we know that the budget line should pass through X bar. What happens is that a change in the single commodities price, let us suppose that the price of good X1 changes, then the budget line will rotate through this X bar, okay. If the price of good X1 decreases, consumer will now be able to purchase more of this good, okay. Look, it is passing through this point. If the price of good X1 increases, then the consumer will be able to purchase lesser of good X1. So therefore, a change in the price will cause budget line to rotate through X bar rather than through X bar, okay. Is it, if it is clear till here, then we will move ahead to our third point. That is, an equal and proportionate change in all the prices leaves the budget line unaffected if there is an equal or a proportionate change, okay, in the prices of both good X1 and good X2, okay, clear? Then this budget line will remain unaffected. It will remain the same budget line, though the nominal value of endowment varies in the same proportion. Now, therefore, budget line must pass through X bar and its slope will be unaffected. Its slope will be the same one, okay? Let me drop this. This is nothing. Okay, in figure that was drawn earlier, X star is equal to X1 star and X2 star. Now in this figure, we have another point as well, that is X star, okay? This is star. This X star is showing the bundle of goods, X1 star and X2 star. It is the optimal consumption bundle on B, on this budget line, okay? Where I1 is tangent, okay? This, where we can say that this isoquant curve H is tangent to the budget line B. Therefore, over here we can see that X star, X1 star, okay, is greater than X1 bar, okay, and X2 bar is greater than X2 star. X2 bar is greater than X2 star. What is happening over here is that it is showing, this new point is showing us that the X1 star, the value of this good consumed, okay, is greater than X1 bar, and X2 bar is greater than X2 star. The consumer is maximizing the utility by selling commodity 2. What is happening over here is that he is maximizing the utility by selling this commodity. Look, she is now consuming lesser of the lesser units of the commodity 2. Therefore, it gives her therefore it gives her receipt of P2. Okay, now what we will do is that, therefore, what is happening over here is that it is giving her receipt of P2, okay, into X2 bar, because X2 bar is greater than X2 star, okay. We will have P2 into X2 bar minus X2 star, okay. And in order to buy the other bundle of goods at the cost of P1, okay. And what we will get over here is X1 star minus X1 bar. Now, therefore, this value that we have gotten over here, it can also be taken, or it is similar to that value. Wait, let me just take it from here. No. Okay. Let me just undo it. This was something I should not have done. Okay. Now P2 into X2 bar minus X2 star. This is the receipt at the cost of P1 into X1 star minus X1 bar. Can we move back to the derivation that we did earlier? And then what we will find over here is we have the same P1 into X1 minus X1 bar plus P2 into X2 minus X2 bar, and it should be equal to 0. Therefore, that the derivation over there, it helped us find out P1 into X1 star, okay, minus X1 bar. This is the receipt that was derived through that diagram, and then P2 into X2 star minus X2 bar, okay. The sum of both of them should be equal to 0. And if it is equal to 0, then we can say that one good is purchased at the cost of the other good. That is, one good is sold in order to purchase the other good, because our consumer has endowments which are fixed in number. That is, if she wants to buy or purchase some other commodity, she has to sell some of her endowments. This is all about the derivation of this particular topic. Therefore, this whole is derived, and after this, we will move towards the consumption decision in terms of net demands. The lecture right after this will help us finding the consumption decision in terms of net demand. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask me anytime. Thank you.